afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another great episode of Basscast Radio. It is Wednesday night. It's time to hit the record button. Guys, welcome back. Joining us tonight, Hank the Bass Geek, my co-host as always, hostess with the mostest. And guys, I might as well say Thomas is like just part of the crew now.
Pretty much.
It pretty much is. And, this is really cool because we're all from three different industries. Thomas is from the podcasting side, Geek's from the YouTube side, and I run the website side. So we're getting we're giving you guys three different parts, opinions, you name it. And for you guys all watching, we got Mr. Steve Camp with us tonight. If you guys have not been living up underneath a rock, you all should know who Steve Camp is. He runs one of the best tournament series in the state of Virginia. He has some of the best anglers in Virginia fish with him. I remember one time, Steve, and I don't know if this is still true, that you had a pretty good waiting list, and you probably still do, to be honest.
Yeah, Brian, thank you very much for having me on tonight. And hey, guys, I tell you, we do. We have now with introducing the Alpha Series last year. I think we've got about 70 folks, which is like another full field on the waiting list or the list to get in this year. And then on the team series, it's probably another at least 70 boats that are trying to get in. So again, I think it's that talent brings more talent. People just want to continue to fish, and our guys are incredible, and we certainly owe it all to them for making us what we are.
But you also run it. But you also run a great tournament series on top of that. I was at one this past year, and I try to get to more, but I drive past tournaments to get to another tournament. But what you guys do, the way you guys, I think you got about 3 or 4 people to help you guys out, May 5 on a regular basis that help you out, run the series. And, you go live, you promote the anglers, let them have a chance to promote themselves on top of that. If I can just stand up on my feet, the next one, everything will be great, guys. I fell twice this year. I think that's the whole thing about turning 50. I fell twice, one in Tennessee and one on my home lake. And it's like, God, is this what the future looks like? I haven't fallen since, Steve. Let's just tell you that much. I have done really, really well.
Brian, I think you were pushed.
Thank you, Steve.
Makeup. I saw it, man. And no, my wife did ask me. She said, "You get ready to go spend some time with Brian?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "She goes, he's such a nice guy. I'm sorry that he fell." And
thank you.
She got to use some of those maternal instincts and bandaging you up, so that was good.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that was crazy. But yes, get on the waiting list. I talked to a coworker yesterday. He's on the waiting list. Shannon Wheeler. He reached out to you as well. So, guys, make sure you sign up. But what we're going to talk about tonight, guys, is river and roads really quick. You guys know we've had Trip on, the main man who's heading this thing off. But Steve's going to help weigh the fish.
Yeah.
And his team are going to show up, bring the big trailer down, and dive into it with us and let us know on your part of it what's happening. Because Trip's been going over a lot of stuff with the county and, the entries. And to be honest, I don't know what time weigh-in is, and I don't know what time it starts. So let's talk about that because, guys have this thing about putting on flyers. We launch at 7, but we don't know what time we come home. I mean,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, again, thanks, Brian. So, yeah, Trip has done an amazing job getting everything lined up and the city and the county involvement. What we're going to do is just kind of help them with the tournament, right? Run the tournament. We've got a great staff that'll be there to help launch in the morning. I think Trip was like, "Hey, I think we can go at 6." I'm like, "I think that's going to be a little early."
Mm-hmm.
If it was about a month ago, maybe. I see us, 6:30, quarter to 7, getting folks out there. I think at the end of the day, as long as it's not foggy, safe flight, let folks go and enjoy the incredible fishery that we have. And then those folks are going to start coming back in at 3:00. And all of that is going to be down at the Hopewell Marina, right? For day one, we'll have everything set up there, and we'll be, weighing in, releasing fish, doing all that stuff. Rumor has it there's going to be a concert going on. So
yes,
Brian, we may get a chance to sing during this
whole
thing.
Yes, after a few beers, yes.
Yeah, 100%. I'll have that ready for you, sir. But we'll weigh in, and what we'll do is after day one, if it's 50 boats, 75 boats, whatever that may be, the top 25, right, are going to move on to day two. So Friday's the first day, Saturday is the second day. 25 folks are going to go out competing for that guaranteed $10,000. Again, the entry fees that people are paying, that $200 is going to go to pay out, second through whatever, paying one spot for every five. So we're gonna help them with the tournament aspect, and help them get straight with that, and try to have a little fun and learn as much as we can, and partner with Hopewell.
Now, I've been told the Hopewell Marina is not very big. Is there a whole lot of parking? I've never been. I'm not going to lie to you guys, but come early. Is that a recommendation?
I would recommend getting there. So the nice thing about it's actually a pretty decent facility, right?
Okay.
There's an ice machine that's there, one of those cheaper ice things you pay and put in. You can put in 4 boats at a time there. And
okay. It's bigger than I thought. Someone told me then.
Yeah. And in the past, we've been able to, you can park about 80 rigs in the parking lot. And then there's some satellite parking that they can utilize as well if it gets big.
So you guys heard it right there. Come early, get in, get launched, get ready to go. And like you said, $200 entry fee. One for every 5 is great. I ain't gonna say definitely, but I'm probably one of the only ones around here that does one for every 5, because most of them one for every 7, one for every 8. So it's a great opportunity even to take home your entry fee. So, I mean, it's a great opportunity. I have heard about 35 to 40 boats are pre-registered so far. I don't know exactly the number, but like you said, when someone puts up $10,000, the 10,000 is guaranteed. There's no, like you said, like Tripp said last week, if there's one boat or 100, somebody going to take home $10,000 to the winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steve, is anything about, if you've never been down there, is any, tell us a little information about the actual area itself. If someone, maybe a tip or something, if you want to throw that out there as well. But, if no one's ever been down to that area, what do they need to know?
Yeah, it's so Hopewell, it's a pretty easy facility to get to. It's right off of 295. And I'd say roughly 8 to 10 minutes. There's Wawa's and all kind of food places and stuff around there. So they'll be open 24 hours so folks can fuel up, get their food, which is really important to me, making sure that folks can get their food. And then there's a lot of they're really working hard to highlight Hopewell and the revitalization that's going on in Hopewell. There's a lot of all right. So what they're going to be doing is really highlighting the revitalization that's going on down in Hopewell. They've taken a lot of the warehouse space and building spaces and created, bars and barbecue places and different things. It's the weather's going to be nice, so they're calling for. And I think it'll be good. Folks come out and visit and just kind of walk around. There's going to be a lot of things that I think Tripp and his team have set up. So I think it's going to be a good time.
Now, the barbecue, I heard, is pretty daggone good. I'm
100%.
a huge fan of barbecue, and we love barbecue in this house. So it's like, I know my barbecue. So what was the name of that place, guys? I can't remember what he called that thing, but it's some crazy name that he called that thing. Butts Up or something like that, or what was it?
Something like that, yeah.
So, guys, like I said, it's a family-friendly event. Lots of vendors, lots of people going to be there. Live music. Come on out. I really don't know much information about other than the fishing tournament, but I know after the weigh-in there'll be music, and I don't know, there's probably more information. I think he said it's on the chamber website that you can go to, and it should have a list of information for Hopewell, what's happening. So you guys make sure you check it out. Can't wait to see you, Steve. I will be there Friday as soon as I get out of work. I'm making a beeline down there for the weigh-in. But I'm excited to be there and hang out with you guys and be a part of the team. But dude, until then, we'll be talking to you on the flip, brother.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate you guys, man. Y'all have a great night, and I'll have a cold beverage waiting for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'll be
All right, really appreciate Steve coming on, giving us a quick update on what's happening at Hopewell for the Rivers and Roads tournament. Like I said, the basscast.com will be there for both days. It'd be a place I've never been before, explore, and it's pretty cool for me because I usually go the same diagonal lake over and over again. So this would be cool. So guys, make sure you support it. Head on over, enter, get registered, get signed up, and it's going to be a great event with a great tournament director. It's running it. So that's one thing you can rely on, that you know that a gentleman who runs one of the top tournament series in Central Virginia, in Virginia, period, is going to be running this bad boy. So come on out.
10,000 in, 10,000 guaranteed first place. And then, like I keep saying, I've been to a lot of tournaments that break out into other things. To have one to break out into a concert and party, I'm good with that.
Wonder if the BFLs could do something like that. Whoops.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of them break out in other things.
I think this. I'm hoping this will be. I want to say this real quick. When I first started as Bad Boy Guys was in 2008, 2009. The Bassmaster Elite Series of here. Ski Reese won it. I think Kevin Van Dam won another one of them on Smith Mount Lake. And the Chamber of Commerce didn't do a very good job here. They didn't know how to handle the thing. They didn't know what to do with it. They had this event and they ended up losing their butt. But that was before, and we're on a beautiful lake up here, but there's nothing. I mean, there's a gas station that might stay open until 7. That's about it. I mean, unless you drive 45 minutes, that's it. I mean, they want it that way, and that's the way they got it. So, I mean, things have changed, but only in staying, because you got Airbnbs. There's still no real hotel here. So, I mean,
you wonder how much hotels actually play nowadays. Like, how many of the people on the BPT or the elites are like, I'm going to go to the Super 8. Like, I don't think Jacob Wheeler's staying in there.
They're back then, guys, they were all, they would know people, stay at their houses, and fill up, 2 or 3 guys to stay there, hook up their boats, and be done. Yeah. Now we got Airbnb. They're all doing Airbnbs. They're all signing those up. Dave, what do you do, man, besides sleeping in a bag of truck?
I do hotels. Pretty much, unless I split a cabin with some friends I'm competing against, or a couple buddies have RVs. If they're traveling solo without the family, crash with them.
Cool. There you go. All right, guys. Dave Miller on tonight with us. Dave hit me up the other day, so I want to come on the show and give my 2 cents about this FFS that we're all been talking about and what's happening in the world of bass fishing. And I will start off with this. Guys, Dave fishes Toyota Series, the BFLs, and we'll bring him in here in a second. But we all saw yesterday Slick Johnson posted, as well as Thomas dropped it on me or us. We were in a group conversation about, hearing the BFLs are looking at banning forward-facing sonar in 2025 because they're the co-anglers are starting to throw a fit because they can't see the screen. They're being blocked by the angler. I don't know. I will say that for me, that being a co-angler is one of them things where, and we've talked about this before, it's a learning curve. You're hoping to learn. You're hoping to have a good boater that you actually do pretty good with, that actually might know the lake. So, I mean, for the co-angler to be throwing a fit, it's kind of like you're running a business and you're buying a franchise and you're paying $50,000 for this franchise. Yes, you have a building, and yes, you do have a business, but you're a co-angler who are trying to learn the world of bass fishing. I don't know if that's a good analysis or not, but you're kind of, or you're going to college. You're going to college to be a professional. There you go. That's better. You're going to college to be a professional bass fisherman, and you didn't pay LC over here where we're at $25,000 to learn, the ins, the outs, and you hope you get someone who can help guide you. Mm-hmm. It's a hope. It's a wish. And, I've been to many BFLs and heard, my angler sucked. But I mean, that's the chance you take as being a co-angler.
So, okay, I've been a co-angler. I was a co-angler for 4 years on 2 different divisions, and I'll be the first to tell you there's 2 types of co-anglers. There's 2 types. Now we can break it down in even subdivisions other than that. There's 2 types. There's the type that I was out there to learn, and and grow. And a lot of those guys are the ones that are going to be like, well, my boaters suck. Well, realistically, about 95% of the field sucks, right? There's only one win. So I've never understood that argument. You can always learn something, even if it's not what not to do. The other are the competitive co-anglers.
Yes.
And those are always the guys I just never wanted in my boat as a boater, because they're going to complain. And before forward-facing sonar, let's face it, we can take the I'm getting front-ended out, because anyone who has fished a tournament with a co for the past 30 years has heard from a co-angler, I got front-ended.
Yep.
He was rubbing the bank. The rule in the BFL, and I've heard guys complain about this, and I've heard the directors tell them, fishable water. Could you cast to the side? Could you cast up the back? You've got fishable water. Sorry about your luck. That's the rule. And that's the way it's always been.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it hasn't officially come down yet. Nothing that we know of is written in stone. Dave, have you heard anything regarding that?
No, it's just rumors at this point. We did get the
you got surveyed
for both series separately. Right. So that's all I've really known. I put my 2 cents into the surveys. That's it.
So we've all we've harped on it a little bit. We had a guest on 3 weeks ago who got the survey. That was the first time we'd heard about the survey, and he filled it out, turned it in. Go ahead, Thomas.
I was just going to say, because this has been something I've seen in the comment section before. It's like, well, MLF hasn't said anything. It's like, if you have worked a corporate job, this is something that marketing departments will do all the time, is they will leak information to see how the public basically, how are they going to take this so it's not official. So for all the people who are like, well, MLF hasn't said anything, where did this rumor randomly come from? It wasn't some dude in his garage. I bet you my mortgage that it was leaked probably by them to test the waters out, because it's so interesting how this stuff happens if you timeline it. All the drama just kicks up into high gear randomly around St. Lawrence. That was interesting. Then this whole thing gets out to everyone in this survey, and now a week later this happens. It just seems too perfect in a timeline.
And you're all right. They're testing them. They're testing the market.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they really are testing the market to see, how much of the feedback that they're going to get, negative, positive, or whatever, and hopefully make the right decision for their brand and company. I talked to Danielle about it this morning, and Major League Fishing's not really embedded as much into the brands as Bassmaster is. And you kind of wonder if they're like, it's not that big a deal for us if we decide to say no to it. Because, Bassmaster's deep. I mean, we've all said that. Bassmaster's really deep. I mean,
one of their biggest sponsors.
Well, they don't have the grassroots either.
Yeah. Correct. So, guys, we'll throw it up here to Bass Geek. Geek did a survey. Can you tell us a little bit about your survey? How you went about it, first of all, and where did you display your survey for people to actually go and vote? Because any survey, they can be like, how'd you do it? And what'd you do? And all this other stuff. So give us a little bit headroom to the, go ahead.
Wording is always important. So I wanted to do a survey just because, I wanted to know. Now, I'm a YouTube channel. I'm a boater, right? You're not going to see me. I know there's a lot of bank anglers that follow. There's a lot of guys. And for me, I would say the majority, I think it was somewhere right around about, 66% really don't follow. So I'm asking a bunch of guys who, a lot of them are not, they don't follow along with professional angling.
Okay.
I actually did a survey on that. So I reach a little bit of a different audience, although there are, another, 33% that really follow it hardcore like I do. But this survey, I asked 3 simple questions. I asked, are you 40 years old, or are you younger than 40? Are you, do you own a bass boat, either aluminum or fiberglass, 19-foot or longer. I was going to do 20, but there's always that guy that's like, well, I got a 19.6, and we always know those 6 inches always matter to every guy, So, so I just figured 19. And that's really a disguised economic question, right? Because we all also know that 20-foot bass boats are the goal. They're expensive. We also know that those 18s and 19s really are the starter bass boats out there. That's, anybody that's fished kind of knows that for a long time. And then you've got the simple question. You like it or you hate it. Full face of sonar. And so, you can really pick a lot of stuff, but I think for me, the biggest part of the survey was the basic in your face numbers. So
let me ask you this. I don't want to cut you off. Where's the survey posted?
So I haven't posted the survey. So you're getting exclusive. I'm getting ready to post it when we do a video off of Thomas's interview with the Texas Game and Wildlife. So we're going to kind of fold that in. So you're kind of getting exclusive, numbers on this. But we had 169, participants in it. We posted the question on Facebook, Instagram, and of course my YouTube channel under post. But basically what we had, and really what stood out to me was, the first question was the boat ownership.
Right.
And it ended up that 61.5% own a boat over 19 feet. Then the 40, 62.3% were over the age of 40. And finally, 64% overall were for forward-facing sonar. But what really glared to me was this one little group. Let me see if I can find it here. Let's see. When it comes down to did you like it? 80% with a boat over 19 foot likes it. Let's see. The age group. Over 40, 62% of over 40 actually liked it, which kind of surprised me because, I'm 50. I know what a lot of guys. 57 under the age of 40 liked it. But then when you get to, let's see, where is it? Let me find it here. When you get to people that either own a boat 19 foot or less or no boat at all, 80% do not like forward-facing sonar. So to me, that is more of an economic issue. Now, what was amazing is that most of the guys that were answering that they owned a boat over 19, the majority of those were over 40, which to me shines a light on life. I mean, investing in a boat 19 foot or longer is a very big expense. And most of the time, most of us guys have got to, wives, kids, amass money, and status before we can make that kind of investment into a bigger boat to go fishing. So to me, it goes right back to what I've said from the get-go. It's more of an economic question than it is an age or anything else.
And that's interesting because the studies, so kind of compare that. The one thing I was looking at was generations. It's something I just brought up on my show, brought up on this show. It's about generations and technology and how the different generations accept technology. And when you look at the federal studies done on this, when it comes to video games and just technology, it's very glaring that out of all of the baby boomers, 11% are open to new technologies and video games. 30% of people that are Gen Z are open to the idea of that. And so if you've had a grandparent that like, oh, he doesn't use email, he's using a telegraph line. It's glaring that if you look at those numbers and you shade it over the different fishing demographics, it almost mirrors that. In general, the older you get, the more you're not open to different technologies, which this is a technology. And again, I know in the comment section, they'll be like, yeah, but my grandpa's good with it. I get that there's those outliers. But in general, when you look at that, all the people that are also good with it, how old are they, generally speaking? How old is McKinney? And I think that's interesting when you come from an economic standpoint. If your grandkids are okay with this technology in general and they grow up with it because they're fine with TikTok and X and their iPhones, what does it do in theory if you did say, by the way, what got you into fishing because of your ADHD brain and all the screens, we're going to say no to that. How does that affect the business side of things in 20 years?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the younger kids are going to be the group that's coming up, you left a generation out there, which in my opinion is the largest generation that's fishing right now. And it's X,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We are, we're really, the baby boomers are pretty much retirement. They're 70 plus 75-year old. And there's still, there's still a lot of those guys that are fishing, but the guys that are 50, 60, born in the 70s and early 80s. Those are the older group on the tournament circuit.
God, I'm old now.
We are one of the few that are, we grew up with computers coming in. We learned early days, Oregon Trail. Who remembers that?
I did. I played a lot of it.
And that to me is what's interesting with that when it comes to the financial argument. How much of that is the truth versus that's the cop-out answer you check on a poll? Because, like Allure announced their Eagle unit, which is $1,000, and you can buy basically the highest in Shimano rod and reel for that, which people clearly do all the time and no one complains about that. So is it an issue? Yes. Is it the issue, or is that the easy cop-out answer on a poll versus because you don't want to say, I don't like technology, it makes brain hurt.
Yeah. I think
David, you can weigh in anytime you want, brother.
Yeah,
I see the wheels turning.
Interrupt. You're not gonna hurt her feelings.
Me? Oh,
yes.
man.
Yeah.
Yes, go for it.
So
we've
said all this. Tell us what you're thinking.
We'll be gentle.
My opinion, I'm just gonna be straight up, simple, cut to the chase. As an angler who tournament fishes, and I also guide, I believe in the tournament scene, it should be regulated but not banned. And then I believe in, like, at the state level or federal level, however, like from the conservation perspective, I don't think it should be touched at all. That's just my 2 cents, because like guiding isn't necessarily competing, so I want to be able to put my clients on fish. And the more fish they catch, the happier they are, the more times they come back and put food on the table. So
that's the most normal level-headed opinion. And if you talk, I think to most people in person, that's what it would be. It's like, hey, we need to probably like rein in the technology so it doesn't get too crazy. And everyone would be like, I agree with that. And that's why it was so jarring when this popped out that we're just going to ban all of it. Like, I didn't expect that. It just seemed way over to one end of the spectrum.
Well, so Dave, first off, I want to, and you don't have to tell me. You can tell me you're 35 if you want to. But if you don't mind me asking your age, I'm assuming you're a
26.
41.
So yeah, so see, you're younger than me and Brian. So, but to me, that's, I think most guys that use it, I took a gentleman from South Carolina out. I actually just talked to him yesterday, and we had a horrible time. And I feel like I'm pretty good. Like I'm basking, right? Like I'm a network engineer. I can take it apart, solder an 80-inch screen on there. I know the components and where they're made in China, But, we went out and the bass weren't biting. Dave, this is a question I've got for you. I mean, we chased for 2 days. I think we caught 3, 4 bass, and we chased for 2 days 1,500 fish that we seen. And I mean, I know they were all bass. I mean, I don't know for fact, of course, but I mean, I feel like I'm good enough to where I can discern it pretty well. And I actually sold that dude a unit because he was like, "Oh, this isn't what I've been told."
No.
This isn't just your, spotlighting deer, which, I've said, and, I can neither confirm nor deny this, but I might know people or have been in a situation where deer may have or may not have been spotlighted. It's been 100% kill rate, my knowledge, right? My knowledge. And, no incrimination here, but, and it's definitely not 100% kill rate on catching bass with a live scope. And you're on the water more than any of us, with all the tournaments you fish. Tell us a little bit about, just tell us the truth about how
what's affected you, man.
Yeah, what's the percentage? Have you seen the bass getting used to the jig head minnow? Have you seen, what have you experienced from X to Z dates?
So I'm more of a power fisherman. I like if I have I was joking with a buddy one time, like if I ever got stuck in purgatory, if I had a flipping stick in my hand, I was just pitching to a never-ending weed line for eternity, I'd be happy. So that's how I like to fish. So I use it as a tool. Like, oh, the weed line's 20 feet out. The drop-off's there. There's the boulder. Like, I use it as a tool because I move fast. Trolling motor's on 10 for me.
Yeah.
And I cover water, make gazillion casts, and I power fish. That's how I fish. Yeah, there's times I'll slow down, drop shot a rock pile or something, offshore. I'll do offshore things. But even with like throwing a Carolina rig, I'll work it like a square bill down there at 40 feet and cover water. Like
heavy weight, keep it moving.
Yeah, exactly. I don't say a quarter or something, just keep it on the bottom and move that speed crawl as fast as it could go and trigger reaction bites. So I use it like that. Have there been times where I have, there's a fish, cast it to it? Yes. I mean, I think everybody with FFS has done that. So I can't be the only one that fishes like that. Like, so for co-anglers to just blanket statement, oh, we got to get rid of it from everybody. I've had 2 co's win on my boat, both out of Champlain. So, like one time I was like dialed in on the FFS, targeting, chasing bait balls around like a hump, and he's just cast out into the middle of nowhere catching them, and then I had another one. I run Lowrance, so I have active target, but I forgot the name of it. It's the one. It was like the Panoptics version of Lowrance.
Gen 1 or Gen 0, whatever it is. Yeah.
It was like live target or something.
Yeah.
It's like the big square thing that you could angle, you could do down or forward. The first co that won on my boat on Champlain I was using that. So like that's years ago. So I've been using it for a while, and I don't know. I just don't see it like being an issue to the point it has to be banned from competition. Now, when I say regulation, I'm not saying regulation like, honestly, I don't know what the answer is for regulation, but we can't have 5 hooks on a Alabama rig. We can't have, we can't snag bass off of beds. We have to catch them in the mouth. I can't put a 300 horse on the back of my Phoenix. So we're regulated in all these aspects. So I'm open to a regulation because it's like, because if there was a regulation, it's probably not going to affect me. And I see another aspect too, where there's a lot of people. I think there's like one person in particular that's really pushing the conservation aspect of it.
Yeah.
And he's like, got the followers and everything. I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah, we know who you're talking about.
I'm not
affectionately call him Mr. Blockhead. So
I'm not trying to throw shots or anything. I I just do my own thing. I
I'll
try to get
throw.
along with everybody. But the but the my thing was like, if you're talking conservation, I was like, let's make it interesting. You know, what if we did something crazy? And I posted this in a couple things. I talked about it on my podcast a couple weeks ago. What if we made it interesting, like have a regulation, like, okay, you want to run FFS, run 10 transducers for all we care, but you can't cull. Something interesting,
Wow.
you know, like something different. Because then if you're talking conservation, then you don't have to worry about 1,000 fish getting stuck every day on the water.
And I definitely want Thomas to speak on this, but you know, this is because he did it. I'm actually making a YouTube video based off an interview he did, and I'm going to set you up, Thomas. So be ready. The gold standard in fisheries management, the gold standard. And when I say that, I think we all know who that is, and that is Texas.
Yes.
They did a study 2022 to 2023, and Thomas knocked that sucker home.
So if you guys don't know that I'm also on the Black Bass Advisory Board for Maryland, I actually helped make legislation for the Potomac River, which I think a few of you people have actually heard about that. And we talk about forward-facing sonar habitually, which is annoying. And this is when this came across our desk about what Jake Norman did, who actually runs a place called like Toledo Bend and Lake Fork, if you've heard of it. And he did this study. We talked on the phone for a couple of hours before we did the interview. And he did over a 2.5-year study where he would interview people at the boat ramp, collect data, put cameras in the water. And he said there's no statistical significance when you look at the data of fish catches with or without it. And the other thing he's saying, like, they're learning. They're learning that either it's the beam, it's the clicking, or they're starting to associate that when a boat comes over them, one of their friends leaves, that they stop biting. And I know, Geek, you've talked about this before, that when it comes to conservation, I think Randy's like, he's lying, or statistically I don't know where he's getting this data from, because the facts are, from what the biologists are saying, like right now, it doesn't look like it's affecting the fish. And they're just like with everything else, they're learning not to bite when we're around them. And it's just fascinating to see like how much of this is emotional versus looking at data that's there. And if new data comes, perfectly fine, we can adjust, but this is what we see so far. Now, I will say one thing, and this was interesting from what Jake said. We're talking about catch and release versus like a crappie or a walleye. He even said in the interview, there could be a case with crappie or walleye, like maybe we do need to put regulations in, because like female crappie, they act different than males during the spawn. Maybe that's something, but right now, even without regulation, he said like they haven't even put a dent in the crappie population at Lake Fork.
He said every single angler, and sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, go for it.
When he said this, because I was very interested in the crappie, but he literally said in your interview, every single guy that fished for crappie would have to weigh a limit, or would have to bring in a limit times what, like 9?
Times like 9 or 10.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
It's just fascinating. Like, how intelligent are these little suckers? Like, I hear so many people about changing baits, and even Kevin Van Dam talking about switching from a silent, XD to a different color. Are they learning the click of the transducer? Are they learning what a Mercury 250 sounds like, to where they're like, oh shit, he's dropping down on this ledge, we're leaving? Like, it's fascinating.
But I also like that, a lot of the anglers, when they were on Champlain, were talking about it. They were not casting two fish unless they saw the big blur on the screen. They weren't really targeting, and we talk about the conservation and catching one fish after another. You kind of think maybe that's a thing in the past where, with the forward-facing sonar, we're not doing that really as much anymore. We're looking for the bigger fish because the bigger fish cash checks.
So there's two arguments that I really wanted to break down there, which is, one is all you're doing is you toss your minnow and you catch one. And I think this is where Bass Live and all the lives have really affected a lot of people that watch, because Bass is not going to stare at one person for 8 hours to see the 5 fish that he catches. Yeah. They just keep jumping to the next guy that's catching one. And I think people are associating, like, oh, clearly if I have this on my boat, it's just that easy. I'm going to catch 30 pounds. You don't see those hour gap.
Yeah, no different than me editing a video.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm out there 8 hours and I might catch 5 on the fisheries that I'm fishing, but you're watching it in 8 minutes.
Exactly. And I think that is bolstering this too. And the other argument that really boiled my blood is when you watch Seth Fighter flipping into a tree, or there's that frog busting in the mat. And they're like, oh, I like this more. It's like, okay, but that's not the St. Lawrence River. They're in the middle of the damn ocean. Where the hell do you want them to throw to? Like,
who doesn't like that?
Yes, if you have a body of water with a good shallow water bite, they will be people catching them. But if you go to a place that has a ledge bite like Kentucky, or you're in February at Toledo Bend, no shit, that's where they're going to catch them. Like, it's up to the organizations to also put tournaments to keep the schedule balanced, to give shallow water experts a chance.
So, like we broke it down in the past, guys, and I hate to say we're kind of everybody's playing this record right now, and we're going to change up the record here really soon. But it's one of those things where eventually you're going to have to just let it go. You're going to have to either adapt or move on, and you're going to have to buy it. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. I was actually talking to a gentleman at work today, and he said that there was an Asian company at ICAST, and I didn't know this.
Yes.
And they are sold out of their units. And you
don't have to have a black box. You don't have to have a head unit. It'll plug into your phone. Now, I've seen a few limited screenshots. Don't know. Looks just like the Garmin transducer, though, but apparently it's a little bit bigger and everything's housed inside of it. I'm sure it's stolen tech. But.
Oh, God, yeah.
It probably is, but people bought it. So that technology is somewhere, and they have brought a lot of it to the States, because someone that told me today, he went to the website and it's completely sold out. So, I mean, people are buying this technology and they're finding many different ways. I brought up the idea last week, buy you one. I've seen screens that you can tap in that you can have control with these screens. Very large screen, by the way. I've seen it with my own eyes. And the gentleman was able to do everything from a screen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not everything, probably. I don't know enough about it, but it was enough to where he could mark fish, he could see fish, he could do all that. I mean, probably the main, the main Lowrance or Humminbird, whatever he's hooked up to. Yes, that's probably a whole lot more powerful than what this touch screen was. But I mean, you're trying to save money and you're trying to compete, and that's what it all boils down to.
Technology goes down.
I'm 100% with Dave. I do think we need some sort of regulation, and I think we need it, especially the professional series, just from an eye test, from a perspective.
Always optics,
because the ideal right now is that bass fishing's already pricing people out of it, and has been for years now. Whether I believe that or not, I've got a 98 Johnson connected to a 98 Triton, and I fished, tournaments out of it forever. So, I think it's perception, and I think maybe scaling that back just for that reason is probably for the best.
I wish people across the board would put this energy into fighting the chemical springs versus fighting FFS. There's a million and one things I could think of and make this podcast last 2 months that are more important than this.
Mm-hmm. and I shared your, and that was Massachusetts. What was that? Yeah. Where was that? I shared your link this morning, and I said it's happening again with the chemicals. It's happening again down in Thomas has brought up down in Florida.
Like Gunnersville,
Alabama.
They're spraying the grass, and Alabama. So you're all right. There's so many more things that we could be discussing besides forward-facing sonar.
Even
there are a lot more important.
Wake boats undermining shorelines. We got a big problem with that up here. I'm in Connecticut, so my home lake's Candlewood, but we have a bunch of other great fisheries, Little Nona, Azor, and they all get nuked. They get pounded. Mm-hmm. You get the zero support from the state. Our state is wretched when it comes to anything having to do with outdoorsmen. It's disgusting.
Can I ask you a question about that? Because it's interesting that Texas, besides probably being the greatest state, their culture around fishing in the outdoors, it just seems different, because whether it's from Florida to your area, it's a lake is basically a swimming pool, and that's how the public looks at it. Versus Texas,
Yes.
when they're like, "This is nature. This is the outdoors." Is that kind of correct?
Yeah, it's definitely. We had on Little Nona when I was hardcore fighting the springs on Lake Little Nona. The come to find out, one of the permit applicants isn't even a U.S. citizen. They're from Finland, right? And they have a like a house they rent, like a timeshare type of thing. It's like a giant,
Wow.
enormous house, and they rent it for like 1 month of the year. So they pay to spray like a mile of shoreline, like not even like just in front of that property, but the whole mile because the lady does paddleboarding and doesn't want weeds, doesn't want to see the weeds. So and then in Connecticut, it's like you could be a resident from Tokyo and just throw a dart at the board and whatever lake it lands on in Connecticut, you just call, make the phone call. You have you hire the company, they put in for the permit. If the permit isn't approved within 24 hours, it's automatically deemed approved, and you get an approval email automatically generated and sent to you. And
Holy cow.
the company goes out and nukes the lake. And then the companies that nuke the lake, they never put up notices. They never put up any type of I think they're supposed to hand deliver notices to residents on the lake. They don't do that, and then the state never holds them accountable. And then the company isn't even from Connecticut. The company is from Massachusetts. Like you can't even run a company doing this in the state of Connecticut, but yet you can hire a company from out of state, not even be an American citizen, and nuke whatever lake you want. That's ridiculous.
Crazy.
And this is what's happening in Florida too, and that's such a if you look at what happened on the St. Johns River, Okeechobee, the Harris Chain, and then you saw that like I think it was like 3 years ago there was a massive manatee kill, and what got covered up potentially is that was caused because of all the herbicide spraying in the lakes that drain into the Everglades. Until either there's a massive lawsuit or a bunch of people start dropping dead of cancer, people won't wake up to this. And you look at Gunnersville, the Super Bowl of bass fishing, the Fenway Park, and I think everyone has been to that Facebook page. It's out there. They got federal funding. They spray the lake every day, another section. And it says, because they use a carcinogen, that because eelgrass doesn't basically work for most of the sprays, you can't be in the water in that section for 21 days. You can't be in it. Well, so it doesn't matter what Karen does on her paddleboard. She's not out there. But us anglers, the people who are out on the water, what's that going to do to our health? They don't care.
Yeah. And not for nothing, too. If you guys read my petition, it's a few years old. Did petition on change.org. We did a lot of research. I mean, it wasn't just me. It was a lot of people like local. And there was a lake, Lake Zorz, the next lake down from Little Nona. And they sprayed it. They didn't notify anybody, and a dog died. And then a couple of days later, another dog died. Then a couple of days later, another resident's dog died. And then everybody started putting pieces of the puzzle together, and come to find out, like across the board, around all these lakes, all the local veterinarians were seeing a huge skyrocketing number of gastroenteritis in dogs.
Wow.
So the dogs, it's not even from coming in contact with, it's from breathing the fumes in. So it affects the neurological system of them as well. So it's devastating to your pets. So you're like okaying these chemicals to be put in the water that your dog is going to walk down there, take a sip or whatever, go jump in, chase a tennis ball, whatever the case is. You're poisoning your own pet. Like it's disgusting, and nobody cares. Like the state doesn't care. They won't do anything.
They won't care until, and this is the problem, and this is what I keep telling people on my show. Fishermen have this terrible thing with, don't just tell me the story. You have an iPhone. Record it. Take a picture. There was a hull sailing incident that happened last year during a BFL where they put nets in a spawning area on the Potomac they weren't supposed to, and they killed a ton of fish and left them there. I had people calling me up about this. I said, take a video. I made the video, put it out there, got 1 million views. I got a call from the person of the DNR the next day being like, what happened? Because I'm getting yelled at. You got to make it go viral because that's the only thing these people will listen to. It's either a lawsuit or bad PR. That's the only two things that they'll feel pain on. Yeah.
I was like, you know what? At one point, I was like, you know what? Every fisherman in the state of Connecticut should stop buying a fishing license. Screw them. Hit them in the wallet.
Yes. Yes, that's what
Like,
you got to do.
seriously.
Please, Thomas, tell him what you found out about the fishing license. Please tell him this. I don't
So-
know if it's that same way in Connecticut. You might want to look into this.
Ours
I
goes
know I'm
into
gonna look
general fund.
into it in
Ours,
Tennessee.
yeah, same.
So basically, with the fishing license, no matter what the price is, let's say you decide I don't want to pay that, and you get written up a ticket. That money that's generated from the ticket does not go into the fisheries. It goes into the general slush fund, and that's in a lot of states. So even the system like there is completely corrupt. How that works. And again, the amount of, not so I lose my position here, so let me make sure I word this correctly. If you've seen House the Cards, that's not wrong in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
And it's sad. And this is where you need the anglers to write. And this is where I'm the most pissed off with Bass and BPT, MLF, and all this other stuff. They don't give a shit about conservation, pardon my French. It's about making money. And we need an NRA for anglers that goes in and is like, oh, you're trying to take away fishing? You got to talk to our lawyers. Ray's Town Lake in PA, where there's like bass fishing is not allowed.
Yeah.
Here's this little document that we're going to send you here that we're going to see you in court about this. Oh, you want to spray and kill all the golden retrievers? Yeah, we're going to meet you in court. That doesn't exist for anglers. And it's just, when are the anglers? Stop bitching about forward-facing sonar. There are bigger issues. Lake Manassas in Northern Virginia, a homeowners association, a realtor like BlackRock came in, bought the whole lake and said, by the way, it's private now. And they spend $90,000 a year with a cop boat on there to make sure people stay off of it. They will do this, and you will lose all of your rights eventually unless you speak up and say something.
Yep, 100%.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up tonight's show. But
Yeah.
you are right. And guys, we talked about it a couple weeks ago when there was a survey put out by the Virginia Game and Fish for you guys to go vote on as well. And you have to dive deep. If you need your wife's help or your 19-year-old kid's help, please do it, because I ain't gonna lie, there were a whole lot of links on this bad boy to what the whole entire, the survey and what there was to vote on and all that good stuff. So guys, please make your opinion known. I mean, get out there and, do what you have to do to keep our bodies of water clean, no pesticides. And I work at a place and we have our own filtration system and all that great stuff. And we have to test the water before we dump it into the James River. And a town like Dave was talking about, spray a little chemical and kill a bunch of animals and get off scot-free. But the company I work for spends millions of dollars a year to make sure your water is clean.
Yep.
But because you're not happy with some grass, you decide you're going to kill it and kill a bunch of animals down the river.
Because you want to be on a paddleboard probably 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
hey, guys, any of you guys going to be at the Potomac in a couple of weeks, 14th and 15th, for the BFLs?
Yeah, probably. That's right in my backyard.
I'll be there.
all right, Dave, before we run off the show, man, anything you like to promote yourself since you're talking to our fans, all 5 of them?
No, just promote the Basscast, man. That's what it's about today.
Shoot.
No, but
All
Thomas, shout out Thomas too, though. I checked the podcast out. It's great. I like it.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Keep doing the good work. All you guys, really. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on and throw my 2 cents around.
All right, guys. So make sure you guys follow Dave. I know he's big on Instagram. Give him a follow there on social media and LinkedIn as well for you guys on LinkedIn. And dude, another great show. We'll be back next week. We got one more show before I leave for the Rivers and Roads. So I look forward to seeing everyone there. And I think we're gonna get Steve back on because we brought up a topic earlier. We're gonna talk about it's happening to everyone that is a tournament director. And we're talking about waters that are getting destroyed. Tournament directors are getting run off the waters. The guys that pretty much put these things on for free for you guys to show up and work for hours and all that great stuff. So you guys can have a great time on the water and take home a great payday. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that you guys do not see, and we're going to be talking about that really soon. So guys, appreciate you all listening tonight. Thank you everyone, and we'll see you all again next week right here on Basscast Radio. Don't forget Dockside Live and Grove Street Radio. You guys can listen to us there as well as the American Angler Outdoors. We just had so much to talk about here lately. It's just, we ain't got time to plug much. I mean, we're here. Follow and be a part. And thank you guys. Have a great night, everyone. And we'll be talking to you really soon.